Hello people, and welcome back to part 46 of Ilos, our modded Cities Skylines build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And just taking some time to enjoy the view here from the top of Mount Margaret in Ilos, of course, where we have a Jerry coven, where he's seemingly fallen in love with one of the aliens he's supposed to be helping. And also taking a moment to reflect on how corrupt he's become by kind of talking to his father's statue. And of course, helping the aliens and one of the nefarious snowmen kind of get involved in some shady dealings in a back alley somewhere in the city. So you guys know Jerry by this point. He's that equine policeman who has got himself involved in trying to help the aliens escape by any means. And because of this, Jerry has a lot of sensitive and private information on his devices, and that's why he uses today's video sponsor, Atlas VPN. Right now, Atlas VPN are offering you guys a Black Friday deal for Atlas VPN Premium for just $1.70 per month. This also includes an extra 6 months and a 30-day money-back guarantee. All available in my link down in the description below. Once you set up with Atlas, which is incredibly simple and easy to do, your devices will get a new IP and DNS address, meaning that your information and data are now secure online. My favourite feature of Atlas is the ability to unblock any websites not available in your country, so you and Jerry can watch your favourite Netflix shows that might not be available where you live. So be like Jerry, be secure. Get Atlas VPN Premium for just $1.70 a month. That includes an extra 6 months and a 30-day money-back guarantee if you decide it's not for you. Big thanks to Atlas VPN for sponsoring today's video. And let's get on with today's build, shall we? Okay, so in today's build, I really want to start creating a little bit of a community around the lake, which has now been named thanks you to our community poll. And the winner is Lake Innit, which wouldn't have been my choice, but we are a democracy, if anything, on the channel. So thank you for everyone that voted, and we now have Lake Innit because it's a lake, innit? Of course. So thank you for voting. We now have the name, but I would like to continue to introduce a little bit of community around Lake Innit today with some suburb here today, some nice roundabout decoration. We've got a train station and indeed some waterfront park opportunities, which should give us a few nice options to develop something around Lake Innit. Otherwise, let's see what we can do with some classic American suburban designs and Cities Skylines. So let's start talking through what our plans for this suburb are exactly. So I'm thinking along the front, right? This road is really important. This goes all the way through to the start of the city. We can follow it right through the mark grid, all the way down there. So super kind of long and narrow. It very much serves as a kind of introduction to Ilos if you're arriving from this side of the highway. So I think I'd like to plop in a little bit of American eclectic. So let's come into our tabs here. So filter for low density. So I'm pretty sure we can actually just filter this by an American search, can't we? Yes, we can. So let's just go ahead and place in a few of our favourite eclectic assets here. We're going to have that one there. We're also going to knock over some of these roads so they link up with the collectors. Probably about there should be okay. And then, yes, this should be fine. Cool. So just want to pop down a collection of housing again. We can use Alt-V with Find It to change up the asset that we like. Let's go ahead and get a general kind of collection in there. Right, so there we go. There's kind of the general concept. We just have a nice row of very American looking low density residential, okay? We love our American eclectic theme. Used it many times before. And then I'm thinking we're going to have some white picket fence, which is very American, isn't it, right? Very much the American dream, this suburb, I think. So let's turn on our prop line tool, come on with a bit of anarchy and some linear fence fill. And then I really just want to have this run possibly sort of along this side here. And then we're going to break the fence pattern every time we come to a little crossing like this, and then we can do some really nice kind of green space designs on the entrance to the road here. But on the opposite side of the suburb, against the canal, it's not going to be quite as desirable. It's going to be a little bit more grim over there, so quite a chalk and cheese example today. Almost as though, you know, the Ilos City Council has decided to, you know, put the best of the buildings up at the front of the city, at the entrance, and they're trying to hide a little bit of the nasty underbelly, if you like, sort of away from the view of the tourists. Okay, so it's not too bad. So we got a couple of grass options. I'm thinking I'd like to use fertile land for this. If we can indeed get it to spread. Because I'm after more of that kind of dry, parched grass as opposed to like a proper green field, if you know what I mean. And I think that does us not too bad a job, does it? Okay. So it's got a little bit of fence in here against our main arterial road, all this infrastructure behind. And then just as you're driving into Ilos here, you've got this very nice, almost quintessential suburb, right? So of course we could zone in the American eclectic stuff, but it takes 1,000 years to grow up. So I think I am actually happy to have a few of these assets as American eclectic. So let's go into themes. The theme is already assigned to the district. So let's have a few of them as construction sites, almost as though, you know, this suburb is still being developed. So there's a nice little batch of 4x4 zonings there. So let's let those zone naturally. And then the rest of the suburb are going to sort of plop to be like this. Up until a point at least anyway. Maybe we can use sort of this road here level with the municipal airfield as kind of a barometer for where the suburb style will change. Then we're going to come in to find it, and then we're going to come into our tag finders because we want to show this single story low density income, which is a theme I've made specifically for this build. We've used it before in Ilos. It's all of our kind of low density, low income looking houses. And then I just want to place in a few of these, but not totally back to back. Maybe some of them in between have been demolished. So we'll just keep doing. If you're wondering how I'm switching the asset, by the way, you hold Alt and V in Find It, and it will randomly select an asset from within your search pool. Very handy for mass plopping suburbs like this. Okay, so just keep it going. Very random. Cool. And then that's going to give me a slightly sort of more rougher side of the neighbourhood using these houses, and indeed we can probably back them up onto the canal as well. I think this is going to be quite appropriate for this area just because we've got Sully's canals. That's quite a big sort of design in this part of the city. I think that if we sort of pair up some appropriately sort of themed housing with this sort of area, it should work out quite nicely. Okay, and then there we have it, and of course maybe a little sort of canal side pathway that comes down behind the houses. A little bit of chain link fence in here will be more than welcome for when we come down to detail this area. Let's come on to an angle snap. So we'll just keep this going. It can basically just serve as a little canal side pathway. Okay, you can get a brief, very brief look of our sort of spices here if we like. Let's come on to a little bit of chain link fencing. Let's go ahead and grab our favourite. Let's go for vanilla as well. Make sure vanilla is ticked. There we go. So we can get the natural disasters one. Yeah, I just want this to sort of sit against the canal. Right, so let's just go for there right now. And then we'll give a very sort of brief dose of our Ilos dry belt here as well. Tiny amount. Of course, it'll want specific trees and cactus playing. But I'm hoping that with just a little bit of a walking pathway, some more dilapidated housing, Sully Canal and some chain link fencing, we should be able to create a little bit more of a rundown vibe over this side of the suburb. You know, it's much older. You know, perhaps the property developers around Lake Innit, you know, they wanted some nicer housing here, so they bankrolled some developments and rebuilt it all. But they haven't quite reached the back end of the suburb yet, so hopefully a little bit of personality and community to be developed for a little suburb like this. I don't think it's too bad, is it? But either way, let's go ahead now and get all of our American eclectic houses plopped within kind of these central frames so we can see the suburb kind of develop up. And then we can come back and start talking about some service and commercial detailing for the suburb as well. There's a whole bunch of new people arriving at the suburb from the train station, which is great to see. A lot of guys in suits, which raises suspicions about Jerry's alien coven, doesn't it? I think it does. All the men in black here to find Jerry again. Hope you guys enjoyed the sponsorship at the start of the video as well. Right. Big shout out to Atlas. But either way, we have a space here. So American Eclectic Suburb has been plopped now. A little bit of it is growing up here as well. New developments are being built, etc. by the side of the highway. But we do have a little space here where I think we can develop a little school campus for the suburb, right? You know, they're going to need high school over here, do an elementary school somewhere else at some point today too. So with this, let's go ahead and find a road that we like. How about this 2-lane road with median? It's a little bit of an introductory, but I do want to be snapped to these grid frames first, so I'm going to draw in that road there. And then let's come out from here. And then now we know that these frames here are snapped onto that 90-degree angle. So let's decide what school we want to use. The vanilla one is probably the most American looking, I think, isn't it? But I am a big fan of the European high school though. This does work quite nicely here, doesn't it? tough one. It is a tough one. Okay, why don't we see if we can work with this one then. We'll position this up against the road, so we can have our entrance into the school there. That's going to be wonderful. It's got some recreation at the back. We're definitely going to want some sort of sports field for these guys, so let's see if we can find them. No, it's not plaza. That's not what we meant to do. Probably high school. I mean, if it fits, we sit, right? Those are the rules. And it does fit, so therefore we must sit. Let's bring this up a little bit more. Can we perhaps repeat this asset, or do we want to bring in another one maybe? There is also the football stadium, which very nearly fits in there as well. Very nearly does. Okay, let's rework it again. I would want the running track in here now instead. And then we can see this road here is kind of a little bit awkward now, isn't it, from where we drew in those initial frames, so let's change that. Let's go ahead and extend this road down this way, and then we'll have it on an angle like that. And then if we node control this corner here, just with a little bit of offset, it just sort of loosens up the harshness of that curve, if you like. Okay, cool. So that gives us more room to accommodate assets for our high school campus here. We'll have some chain link fencing around this as well. Okay, but let's just maintain sort of a view from everywhere else as well. It's blending in with the theme. I think I'm happy with it. I'm enjoying all these long grasses and whatnot. Okay, that's not too bad. Going out the space, alright for the time being. Do we have room again to include the soccer field? No, it's a little bit too tight now, but that's okay though. We've got one track and field area. Let's go ahead and grab this road here. Again, we're going to bring it out a little bit, and then we're just going to bring on that angle. We definitely want some car parking for the students here too, so let's develop some interesting car park spaces. We're going to have one here. We're going to come off the road guideline. Yeah, so we'll have one that comes out for 10. And then we'll also do one here. I'm going to bring this down. We'll encroach ever so slightly, but that's okay. And then we'll use that service road to feed back into this big node controlled junction, which is doing some weird stuff now. You okay, junction? What's going on? Do you need some offsetting? Yes, you do. There we go. Okay, so that stretches it out. A little bit more of an interesting road network there. This definitely doesn't need traffic lights on it either, so let's get rid of those. Cool, and then of course we'll do a little bit of node controller on our curved car parks, just because it helps square them off. Okay, and then all this here now can be filled with a little bit of surface painter. Okay, there's various bits of prop detail that can be had within these spaces as well. During our time lapse in, maybe some food trucks for the students, or benches, more parks, etc. Very customizable builds, the high schools. And then, yes, we can have a little bit of concrete here as well. We should be on the Margrid divide here. Yes, we are. So it shouldn't be too much of a nightmare to squeeze in. Really enjoying the concrete median road with surface painted sides of it. You get a very concrete look there, don't you? Here comes the train as well. Anyone getting off from downtown? Yes, quite a few people actually, and that's really good to see. Very interested to see where you're all going. So this station is hooked into downtown Ilos. It's hooked into this one here. 1,477 through the station now. Isn't that busy? It is. It's got the metro hooked into it as well, hasn't it? So, super busy train station. That's things we love to see, isn't it? But yes, where did those people go? Or just heading over to the new suburb. Very nice. At least they're walking anyway. Heading over to their new houses, I wonder. I bet they are actually. I bet they're new Sims, aren't they? Then there's a train coming out of Lake Innit here. And quite a few people actually waiting at the station too, which is nice. Yeah, it's good. I'm happy with it. People walking through the school campus here as well. Tremendously happy with that. Fantastic. Cool. So, let's come back into our service roads here. And then I just want to sort of freeform this myself. If we can come onto an angle first, I want to have that. And then I just want to meander through here and then come back into the road. And then we can just use move it to just bring that segment ever so slightly off of the track, and that should give us a slightly easier time. Right, well that gives us a school campus. I also think some of that fertile land that we've been using as well today just to help give a little bit of a sort of a drier, parched grass look to some of the areas. Would be welcome in and around the school campus, I think. Cool. That's ready for detailing, isn't it? We've got some fencing to do around here, but otherwise, as an approach into our sort of quintessential American suburb here, things are going well, I think, so to speak. Real big fan of this, how this train station's sitting into the suburb. Thought it was a bold choice, so we can actually delete its solar panel now. Doesn't need that anymore. But anyway, we're getting far too distracted with trains. We'll allow our American suburb to continue to develop here. And then we can hop over onto the other side of it here. So we are still having intercity bus issues in Ilos. You will notice that some of them choose to come in absolutely fine. And then there's other ones that remain confused. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with our intercity buses. If anyone has a fix or any information, we've tried most fixes. We've tried load screen mod restarts, several other mod removals, but yeah, it seems to be since the plazas and promenades patch, but hopefully it'll get fixed eventually. But as we continue to develop the quintessential American suburb, it wouldn't be a quintessential build without a strip mall, would it? And I think we're starting to develop into some more kind of urban sort of infrastructure vibes here as we come across our wonderful node-controlled rail crossing. If you want to see how to do this, do come and check out the planning episode of Lake Innit. It's all available in that episode. But otherwise, let's come in with some car parking designs first of all to help accommodate our strip mall. So I think we're going to come in with some poorly maintained vibes here. And then we've got this junction here, haven't we? So let's actually align the car park first of all. So let's do a stretch. Let's see, where do we want to go? Let's go for there. Yeah, let's do that. And then we'll have a 10 unit car parking, only a very small strip mall. And then we'll do another 10 units down that side as well. Let's go ahead and hook in the service road into it too. Give the corner a little bit of a bend and a touch of node controller. Okay, and then we can plop in some commercial here. So a lot of our Rico commercial actually is really good for these sorts of strip malls. They're very expensive though. So yeah, we really just want to sort of formulate a little vibe with them. So the bad part of town ones are actually kind of a really fun vibe. These are King Leno assets as well, by the way. You can go and find them down in our asset collection, which is linked below if you want to come and play with them. There's various different types of little strip mall buildings though. They are pretty cool. I'm going to keep this one here as well. It's not part of the same asset selection, but it is part of the same theme, so we'll have that. And I think that some of the university city assets, again, will work with this kind of general strip mall vibe. So let's grab these here. Should be deep enough for what we need, I think. And we'll have them set over here, probably about there. You can see one's going to encroach a little bit too much on where we need to be. So we'll bring this one over. And spin it around. We can have that back onto the side. And then we can do some little alleyway detail here again where there's lots of surface paint, so that would be welcome. Let's come ahead and make sure that these buildings are at least flush with each other. There we go. I guess I'm not going to be able to have you on the back of the road, am I? You will be encroaching now. Oh no, you should be okay actually. Should be alright. Cool. Okay, again, so I think now as we come into a little bit of surface painter, or not surface painter, a forest brush with our dry belt. And I think the occasional kind of taller, drier tree around this strip mall might be quite welcome as well. Let's have a look what's available to us. I think we do have some gums available, don't we, in Ilos? Very kind of dry looking trees, which are sort of the tree of the month for me at the minute. Let's get some of those around. Some tall numbers around the back perhaps. Let's definitely mix that in with some palmage too if we can. Some California shorties in there. Right, and then we definitely actually want to upgrade these roads here and the parking lot roads into the poorly maintained ones for the strip mall vibe. It does have slightly nicer, sort of more realistic aesthetic, I find. And then we can have that one cut back through there. Okay, and then again, just as we continue to analyse how things look from this main arterial road that goes right into the heart of Ilos. Still just means, oh, there goes a train as well. Tremendous. Wonderful. So good. Intercity trains leaving Lake Havasu. Sorry, Lake Innit. It's going to take a while for me to not call it Lake Havasu anymore. Alright, but there we go. course, you can completely replicate this idea just by using the University City assets. You don't even need the workshop assets for this. It's all King Leno vibes, of course. I think probably my favourite asset creator, actually, King Leno. Just everything he does is amazing. It's so good. But happy little sort of American themed strip mall here against the main road. It's going to help. I love the drive-by, you know. I love getting like really low down to the ground in Ilos and just enjoying this wonderful drive-by that's now starting to develop. Got a pawn shop at the foot of Mount Margaret with the Hollywood-inspired viewing area up there now as well. Tremendously exciting, everyone. I am still quite surprised at the usage of the ferry networks for the lake. I didn't really think they'd get this many people on it. I mean, it's not that many people anyway. It's only 28 a week, but yeah, just surprised that there are so many using this method of transport. Of course, it'll only get busier as well as we add more stops along these lake shores. But it's getting used. Very nice. So, the last thing I'd like to have a look at before we move into a detailing time-lapse today and kind of bring all of our American plopping and suburbia sort of designs to a close, is to just sort of see if we can develop a little bit of so we got this very wild sort of lake shoreline over here. Okay, I'm happy to have a lot of my Ilos dry belt through here. That's absolutely fine. Don't really want much development here. But down toward the ferry stop, I'd like to see if we can develop a little bit of sort of open park space. So let's go with the baseball field. We'll sort of start our park off with this. And we definitely want the batter. Is that what it's called? The hitter? I have no idea. I don't do baseball. We definitely want them sort of hitting the ball toward the lake, right? Not over here towards the road. So we'll give this a little bit of surface painting as well, just so it hides those grass sprites that come through. There we go. Just get rid of it all. Very nice. Cool. So we can have this as an introduction into this kind of little lakefront park. I do want to do a little bit more fertile land here as well. Using sort of the extra landscaping tools where you get to place your own resources as texture on the ground has been a real kind of eye-opener for detailing in cities. We did the same thing at last episode for those that watched it when we sort of dirtied up the boneyard using the ore sort of decal stain underneath it to dirty the ground up. Really cool. We also did the same thing in the oil area as well. You know, we have all this like dirty oil stains within the oil fields themselves, so you know, don't neglect your natural resource, not only for of course extracting it as an industry area, but detailing as well, especially if you're playing with actual landscaping tools. Right? Wonderful. So we'll also do some other park stuff through here, general kind of city park stuff, playgrounds and whatnot. And I think it might actually be quite cool if we can get that to happen with sort of the train line passing over the park here. That might be quite good. So we could use a regular or the invisible park life gate, but I don't think I'd really mind the aesthetic of a park gate here for once. Don't think I'm totally against it. So we'll just have this come here, and then we'll probably use that snap point there, sort of a general marker as to where our little park will end, and then you know, whatever. I think we're going to put some hotels here. I'm thinking the Japanese hotel from the content creator pack. Car parks, kind of sports and rec to sit opposite the tourist attraction island. Give the hotel its own ferry stop as well. So let me know if you'd like to see that. That'll be sort of a separate build area. Okay, wonderful. But that gives us the ability to place down some park assets like gazebos and whatnot. But I also think that a little bit of more marina work, because of course we've got our marina props now from the Lake Innit build. So I think what we will do here is just essentially we can very briefly replicate it. Of course I'll refine it during our detailing, but if we were to grab props and buildings here and then just grab a sample of marina, if you like, for lack of a better phrase, and then bring it all down here. No. We can't have a marina here because this is the path that the ferry goes through. Ignore that idea then. I think what we will do some more marinas around the lake area, but probably not right now because that's not really sort of in theme with what we're after today. We might put some more marinas over here where the ferries aren't quite as active. Right, but there's still something we can do here. So let's bring in some road frames. And then I know that there's essentially a whole bunch of university city stuff that I want to use. We can essentially still... Yeah, so we can filter out for King Leno's university city stuff. And I'm thinking I'd just like to plop a whole bunch of these along the waterfront. We know these are some of our favourite assets at this point in the game. We do enjoy these, but I think having the bridge over them, which should give us a nice little layer of added transport infrastructure, which is something we all come to appreciate these days. Let's go ahead and just throw down another random one. We can configure the final sort of configuration of these university city assets later on. Okay, but that gives us a little bit of sort of waterfront, doesn't it? A few shops, a couple of bars down here as well. Very much an extension of Havasu's, of Innit's tourist theme, you know? With bars and whatnot. Definitely got room for some more boatyard detail as well if we wanted to do that around the lake. It's nice to play with some water finally in Ilos. Everything's been so landlocked for so long. So there will be some more watery suburbs coming too, eventually. One day, we'll get there. Cool, so I'm not bothered about this being a park life cheese. I really only want it for the park life area. So I'm not going to bother with a second gate. Then we want a little bit of soften here as well. Let's go ahead and just soften that out a little bit, make it look a little bit more natural to what we want. And then let's go ahead and just make this an active little park with lots of park assets. Let's get a playground in there too. Let's go for a gazebo if we can find one. Let's get a little gazebo maybe here on the corner. Maybe one over this side as well. That's tremendous. And then we can definitely formulate, you know, perhaps a little cafe space that's just across the road from the baseball field. So any baseball mums that are dropping off their kids for practice can then come and sort of enjoy a little coffee over at the cafe across the road in the park. Maybe head down and get some wine if it's a particularly stressful day at baseball. Down on the bars on the waterfront. It depends what sort of day it is, doesn't it? Okay, cool. And then maybe like a large chessboard as well. It's a real sort of like parky rec area. That'd be very nice if we could get this to sit underneath the bridge. And then can I move the pillar? Yes, I can. Wonderful. That does look a little bit weird, doesn't it, where you move that pillar actually? I think we can live with it though. You can't really tell in the grand scheme of things, can you? No, you can't really tell. It's okay. Yeah, so we'll have our chessboard here. Let's move our playground up a little bit as well. And I think a little bit of live oak belt. Of course, we are playing with fertile land decoration, so any tree work here will remove the fertile land, so just do be careful. Unless you actually lock the forestry using the anarchy options down here. Right, there's a few more live oaks through there. A little bit on the corner. And that should just help us blend in a little park area, I think, underneath the rail line. Some sort of space for mums and children to come and enjoy, etc. Okay. It's not too bad. It's a nice bit of leafy green area to occupy a very small segment of in its shoreline. And there's still a lot of vibes to bring in around here as well as we develop all this side of the lake as Ilos grows out this way. Big shout as well for our live stream. We developed a little Phoenix-inspired park. If you haven't seen this, please come check out the live stream VOD on the channel. Some really cool park inspiration here. Taking stuff from Phoenix, getting some little water jets, little wet play park for kids under the shelters and little picnic areas, detailing. There's a little air conditioning company over here. It's got all its supplies. So really cool detailing. Thank you for hanging out on the streams. Go ahead and check it out if you want to catch up. But otherwise, I think this area is slowly coming together, isn't it? Really is. All that's really left to do now is to develop an elementary school complex for this particular suburb. So we'll see if we can slot one in one of these frames as an opportunity here. Imagine, would that be disruptive to have an elementary school next to a train station? It's not a particularly busy train station either, is it? I think we can get away with it. But there could be some PTA gang in the comments, so be careful of those if you are scrolling down towards the comment section later on. But let's place in some schools. So again, green cities would be my favourite, but is it the most appropriate for the theme? Yes, I think it is, isn't it? I think it is. Okay, so let's place in the green city school. We'll have this here, and then we'll use move it to find its positioning. And if we could back it onto the train station itself, that would be tremendously helpful. Seems like it's going to work. It is, of course, going to need its connection, so let's go ahead and drag that in with a little bit of service road, actually. Let's use the service road instead, because we have in Some car parks through here. There we go. The angle will now provide the connection. And then there's various classic detail opportunities now. We can drop in some of our workshop assets if we like, and we'll have a small playground immediately next door that will be sort of blended in with fencing and whatnot. And then perhaps we can use the other workshop asset that we didn't use for the high school here. It does say high school soccer field, but you know, I won't tell if you won't that it's in an elementary school. And then it looks like maybe this frame could begin to hold it perhaps. Maybe we can bring in, just thinking actually, do we want to snap the angle level with the roads or the train station? Orientation's a problem here. I think we can delete this road though. Cool. And then we can use this now as our sort of main complex. So we'll have the soccer field there. Let's also go ahead and do any more sort of kid appropriate parks. We can probably squeeze in a large playground on the back of that, I imagine. Yes, and then we'll use this as our sort of general sort of configuration space. Let's go ahead and grab those parking lots now. And then if we can come down onto this road here, and then down onto that one. Does our node control trick still work on a sort of curved car park here? To bring it together and sharpen it off. Yeah, it does. It just gives us a little bend in the car park there, which I think would be quite nice. And then we can use that again as the boundary for our elementary school. We'll come in with a little bit more fertile land just where we want it. Around these sorts of areas. And then I do want to leave the rest of it quite grassy. Remove a little bit from this side too. Yeah, that should be okay there, I think. That's going to be very nice time. But just look at what piecing together all these assets does. You know, factoring in the orientations, the angles of how they sit against existing infrastructure alongside whatever you're planning to build. I think it just leads to a much more cohesive, realistic, flowing suburb, doesn't it? I hope you all agree that, you know, having all these frames in far in advance leads to kind of a different style of building in a way. It's been very different to playing any other city as well, because we've had these huge smart grid frames that hold everything in Ilos, basically. It's just been a real unique, different way of playing the game, being this prepared and far in advance. It's, yeah, it's good. Anyway, I'm rambling. This does feel like a good point for a detail and time-lapse. So, we just need to carry on plopping in our themed residential housing. So, all along the canal, I'm going to come in with the low-density income stuff. Or low-income, low-density, I should say. And then up towards the sort of richer lakefront. I'm just going to place in some more of our American eclectic themes. Get some trees against its main road. Some more white picket fencing on the entrance to this suburb, as one of those nodes is glitched out. Tidy up anything like that. Do some IMT and decoration on the roundabout, just so it's general nice suburban space. Drop in more parks if and when needed to keep everyone happy. And then generally flesh out our kind of quintessential lakeside American suburb, which is actually blends in really nicely as part of Ilos, doesn't it? It's filling out, everyone. It's slowly filling out, isn't it? We're getting there. Quite sad and emotional at the same time. Ilos is coming towards its final stages, I think, now. Either way, let's detail it up, and then we'll be right back. Hey guys, let's have a detailed review, shall we, as the police car chases after the intercity bus. Perhaps recreating that film, was it The Bus, was it? What was it called? Where they had to keep the bus over 70 miles an hour or something like that. Whatever, either way, we're getting distracted. But this space has turned into a really kind of cute, wonderful suburban space of open greenbelt construction designs, older parts of town that are ready to be redeveloped. Public transport is such a cool design. So in and around our American Eclectic where we've zoned up, it just looks like they're getting prepared to sort of build more of these American Eclectic kind of copy and paste houses, right? So, but it still counts as low density residential. You know, we can check in on them here and see that indeed they are holding people inside, so nice little sort of workaround there for that. And then this whole space just fits in really nicely against the highway and has also really helped to blend in the municipal airfield as well. This is a difficult build to blend in this one, I think, but I'm really happy with how it sits here now between the highway, and there we go, there's a plane coming into land as well. That's really good. You probably saw during the detail and time-lapse that we sort of watched the plane come down over the mountain into that airfield, so that's really cool. But then this mass American Eclectic pattern continues until we arrive at the roundabout in the suburb, which has been developed with a little bit of IMT, some shark teeth work and a little bit of filler, and then some appropriate flowers to match the colours on the flag of Ilos, of course. So just a nice little themed roundabout. There is also a pathway going through this roundabout, so people do actually use it to walk over. Looks like this little blonde kid is going to take the pathway through the roundabout. Nice one. That grass is taller than him, actually. Either really long grass or an incredibly small child. I'll leave the audience to decide, but either way, this pattern repeats on all four entrances into the roundabout, where we've just got some really cute organic greenbelt that spills up to the rail line now. Just so happy with how it's turned out. We've got a nice clear view up to the school there. Lots of parkland, a few trees, and then all that suburb surrounding it. Just really cute suburb designs. It's been a long time since we've just done a classic suburb design without having to worry about any crazy Margrid themes. It's been nice. Love how the rail is integrated into the suburb where we've chain linked fenced it off, and then also dropped in some gazebos to function as train spotting platforms, perhaps. Okay, there's a really busy train line here. It's actually not that busy, it's actually relatively quiet, so they'll probably be sat here for a while. You could probably justify a few more trains on it now, to be fair. It was we'll be getting busier. But either way, just a nice little train spotting platform with this road, then meanders down towards a little water feature. Just an overgrown small lake as we merge back into that kind of low income, low density vibe over by the lake here with this select theme of housing that we've chosen with Find It, as it meanders back toward the canal, where there's also been a road extended out here to match the canal, which heads back into the road that goes around the bottom of Mount Margaret. So it's slowly interconnecting, slowly but surely. And then furthermore over towards the high school, we have some planted detail and some benches over by our track and field stadium, and all the parking has been filled in and out and getting plenty of use. Train station is really busy and we're getting a lot of people coming here. Hopefully we'll see some people get off. Yeah, there's a decent amount of people getting on, also a good amount of people waiting here, and this is taking them back into downtown Ilos. And as a result of that, the main road through town, considering this is hooked into a highway, is extraordinarily quiet. It's just nice and chill. It's just perfect traffic. So the public transport now, all that stuff that we set up ages ago is really kicking in for helping traffic. Probably do with more parking around here as well, because there is a lot of cars on the road, but I don't mind them hearing kind of the entrance and the town centre, if you like. Then heading across the road from the high school, and just a comment here as well, what a wonderful difference just a tiny bit of greenbelt between arterial road and suburb makes. Just a few live oaks, a couple of pathways linking people back into, and a choice fencing. And then of course we've got our continued white picket fence designs here as well, which is taking after the old classic American dream, isn't it, of, you know, white picket fences, apple pie, and what the last one was. Is it eagles or something? Not sure. Let me know in the comments, but either way, it's kind of put off a vibe here, and we just look straight down the road, which goes all the way down the Margrid. Just really wonderful to see. A bit of commercial here as well. It all just blends and it just flows. I'm just so happy with it. It's there. Oh, yeah, nice little modded suburb, everyone. It's been a fun build. And then over here, past the library, we've added in some of our workshop condos in off the workshop, of course. Where else would they be from if the workshop condos? Next to our ferry stop with a little bit of car parking. And then our park and commercial space flows alongside the arterial before coming into some spaces developed for the primary school here. And then of course that strip mall that sits on the corner with its parking, with some chain link fence vibes around it against this node controlled rail. And it's just tremendous. I love that we've got all this open space here. It's something that we see a lot of in Phoenix. We have sort of big infrastructure and then all of a sudden we just see open space, and that's very much been respected here as we've brought in all this housing against the rail line. It's all appropriately spaced, I think. Love the train line going through the suburb there. Yes please everyone, that's very nice. Yes, and that's it. It's just turned into a really cute, wonderful sort of mixed style, mixed use, schools, services, parks, sort of zoned suburb, and it's just been, yeah, really cute little build. It's filled out this space really nicely, and has helped actually blend us from what is essentially rural Ilos out here by the interchange, and of course this goes into Williams, and then over here as well. And it's been just a nice little blend, hasn't it, from the highway through this little rocky shoreline. It's all overgrown, and then we come into a little suburb here that's sat around the main arterial road into Ilos. And then, of course, there's, you know, still themes of construction going on here because it's far out from the centre of the city, if you like. So I think we've achieved the vibe. It's come off not too badly, I hope, today. Otherwise, guys, that is going to do it for today. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed, likes, comments and shares below really do help me out. And of course, please do take some time to check out today's sponsor, Atlas VPN. If you are looking for a service of the kind, then please do consider using my link. It does support the channel. So thank you very much if you do decide to use it. And thank you for listening to my horrendous advert. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm really happy with today's build, and it's nice to see kind of a sense of community developing around Lake Innit. I think that makes sense, right? Yes, it's nice to see a sense of community developing around Lake Innit, isn't it? That's how that should be sounded. But anyway, please do enjoy your cinematics, of course, as the build settles into the city, but I will shut up and I will leave it there. Let's thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.
Lying to myself, I'm so lost.